Possums are pregnant for only 2 weeks. This possum is looking for a safe place to deliver the siblings of the little one on her back. Because they're marsupials, the joeys, baby possums, typically spend time in the mother's pouch, but they hang onto her back when traveling somewhere safe. Possum joeys are born at an early stage because the gestation period is only a mere 12 to 14 days. After being born, joeys have to find their way to their mother's pouch in order to nurse. Possums tend to have large litters, but many don't survive if they fail to attach to their mother's teat. Elephants carry for 2 years. This pregnant elephant is about to give birth, seeing as how wide she's gotten. Elephants usually have a gestation period of 2 long years, bearing only one calf, though they sometimes have twins. Since the calves spend so much time in utero, they usually stand and walk from the second they're born. Elephants have a beautiful welcoming. When a newborn arrives, the adults and young elephants in the herd gather around and caress it with their trunks. Then it takes about a year for an elephant calf to fully develop. Next, our dear furry friends have their own way of giving birth. Dogs are pregnant for up to 3 months. Dogs will be pregnant for 2 to 3 months, depending on when they got pregnant. Many people say that a dog will give birth to half as many puppies as the number of teats she has, but the litter size actually depends on the size and age of the dog. The average litter will have 5 to 6 puppies. If the mother dog has 10 teats, it doesn't necessarily mean she can provide enough nourishment for 10 puppies at once. Ferrets pull their hair out to build a nest. Female ferrets don't have to wait that long since the gestation only lasts around 6 weeks. When a Jill, a female ferret, is preparing to give birth, she will pull out her own fur in order to build a nest. When a Jill is finally in labor, she needs to be left alone. Experts say that if a ferret is bothered while in labor, the agitation can lead her to kill and eat her own kits. See how large the next pregnant tiger got. Tigers carry for 3.5 months. A tiger's gestational period lasts for 3.5 months. She then has a litter of 3 or 4 tiger cubs. There have been litters of up to 7 cubs though, but it's rare for the cubs to survive in those cases. Newborn cubs weigh between 1.75 and 3.5 pounds. They're born completely blind, so they rely on their mother to care for them and show them around. Different otters have different gestation periods. There are different kinds of otters, and they all have different gestation lengths. The clawless and the river types have a gestation period of over 2 months. The giant otter's gestation period is longer, averaging at about 65 to 70 days. Sea otters carry their offspring the longest at 4 and 9 months, with the average length being 6 months. Otters tend to give birth in different places, too. Freshwater otters will give birth in dens on dry land, and then sea otters give birth in the water. This particular mother otter is about to give birth outside the Monterey Bay Aquarium. Ever seen a pregnant koala? Now you will. Koalas carry for a month. The koala's breeding season lasts from August to February. Pregnant koalas carry for only 35 days, and they typically produce 5 or 6 offspring over the course of their entire life. After the birth, the little joey climbs into its mother's pouch all by itself. It's not an easy endeavor though, as joeys are born blind and have to rely on their other senses to reach mom's pouch. After 22 weeks in the pouch, their eyes begin to open and they soon emerge to venture out into the world. Panda pregnancy is tricky. This is Coco, a giant panda at the Chinese Reserve and Conservation Center. She eventually gave birth to a male offspring. Panda reproduction is quite complicated though. Females ovulate only once a year and can only conceive for 2 to 3 days during a short period. Since pandas are naturally solitary animals, the odds of a fertile female finding a mate in that brief window are low. The pandas that are held in captivity are helped out with artificial insemination. Do you know how many babies mice have in a year? Mice give birth to how many at once? Mice are amazing when you think about their breeding abilities. Just one female mouse can produce 25 to 60 offspring in a year. And once pregnant, a mouse only has to carry for 9 to 21 days before she gives birth. A litter of mice usually has 5 or 6 mouse pups, but it's not unusual to see a litter of 12. And mice can mate as soon as they're born, which means that a female can birth a second litter only 25 days after the first. That's a lot of mice. Pregnant rhinos carry for 16 months. In September of 2018, the Buffalo Zoo announced, "We have a very exciting announcement to make this morning. Just in time for #World Rhino Day on Saturday, we would like to announce that Tashi, our great one-horned rhino, is pregnant." Tashi was artificially inseminated. The news was especially exciting because rhinos are critically endangered right now. Rhinoceros pregnancies last about 15 to 16 months, and the calves weigh between 55 and 100 pounds at birth. Rhinos will usually have one baby at a time, but twins do happen. Next, preggers with twins. This alpaca is pregnant with twins. Alpacas are a South American mammal, and they're similar to llamas, only alpacas tend to be smaller. Their hair is similar to sheep's wool and is also used to make woven and knitted things. The gestation period for an alpaca is about 335 to 365 days. They tend to give birth in the morning and on sunny days, with some exceptions, of course. A baby is called a cria, and it usually weighs between 15 and 19 pounds at birth. Dolphins deliver after a year. Dolphins actually don't have a mating season as others do, and births happen throughout the year. Females will usually ovulate between 2 to 7 times a year. When they become pregnant, they carry for nearly a full year. The female doesn't have a lot of room in her uterus for her large baby to grow, so she'll usually gain more girth in her whole body rather than just a tummy bulge like many species. Babies are also born tail first. When it comes to donkeys, it's not so obvious. Donkeys are deceivingly pregnant. It's not so easy to tell if a female donkey, a jenny, is expecting during her early stages, and she'll stay pregnant for 10 to 14 months before giving birth to her foal. 11 months is the most common. Only one foal is born each time. Did you know that donkey milk has more protein and sugar than cow's milk? It's often given to sick children, premature babies, and people with tuberculosis. You learn something new every day, right? Mama manatees. Manatees, also called sea cows, are actually more closely related to elephants. When mating, the female manatee will be pursued by up to a dozen males, and this is called a mating herd. Once she gets pregnant, the male has nothing to do with rearing the calf. Manatees have a similar gestation period to dolphins at about 12 months. The calves are born underwater and are usually between 4 and 4.5 feet long, weighing between 60 to 70 pounds. Did you know that cats get morning sickness? Pregnant cats are more similar to us than we think. Did you know that cats experience a sick feeling that is comparable to humans' morning sickness? Some will refuse to eat and even regurgitate their food. Anyone who's been through morning sickness knows how yucky it can feel during pregnancy, especially during the first trimester when all you want to do is avoid food altogether. Killer whales have long gestation times. A killer whale's gestation period can last from 15.7 to 18 months. Females will usually give birth every 3 to 5 years, but sometimes they'll even go up to 10 years between babies, and one calf is born each time. Calves are born underwater and come out tail first, although head first deliveries have been witnessed. Calves then nurse for a year or two after birth, quite similar to humans. Interestingly, they prefer to nurse right below water, close to the surface. Hedgehogs give birth at night. Pregnant hedgehogs usually deliver 3 to 5 babies in each litter, but litter sizes can range from 1 to 7 babies, and they tend to give birth at night or very early in the morning. Here's a fun fact: baby hedgehogs are called hoglets. The tiny creatures are born blind and have tiny quills under the skin that emerge after being cleaned. They eventually shed their baby quills and grow adult spikes. Orangutans carry for 9 months. Here's a sight you don't see every day. This pregnant orangutan is full term and about to pop, and orangutans are strikingly similar to humans in their pregnancies. They have gestation periods of around 9 months, but it's usually closer to 8.5 months. It's actually rare for an orangutan to give birth to more than one baby, but twins have been seen. Infants are born really tiny, small enough to fit into the palm of your hand. You'll be amazed by how caring and sharing meerkats are. Meerkat pregnancies last weeks. A meerkat pregnancy doesn't last long, about 11 weeks. Each litter has 3 to 4 babies, and they're born underground or in grass-lined chambers. Baby meerkats have different names. They're called kittens, kits, pups, puppies, or cubs. Meerkats are social creatures, and it's seen especially when raising their young. The whole community pitches in to care for the babies. When a mother forages for food, she leaves her young with other members of the community. And amazingly, these female babysitters will even nurse each other's babies. Yes, bats get pregnant too. Bats might not be your favorite animal, but the small critters have pregnancies too. Bat mating occurs in the late summer and early autumn. A pregnant female carries anywhere from 40 days to 6 months, depending on the bat species. A bat gives birth to one baby called a pup that will typically weigh about 25% as much as the mother does, and bat pups nurse just like other animals. This cat is not a happy camper. Have you ever seen a pregnant sphinx? Well, now you have. There are actually a bunch of hairless cats, including Donskoy, Peterbald, Minskin, Elf Cat, as well as the Sphinx. Their pregnancies and birthing processes are similar to their furrier cat friends, but due to their lack of fur, it's possible to see the kittens moving inside a hairless cat's pregnant belly. A pregnant guppy. Fish can reproduce in a number of ways. Pregnancy in fish refers to the time when developing embryos are incubated in the mother's body after fertilization. This photo shows what a pregnant guppy looks like. They're a tropical fish called live bearers, and that's due to the fact that they give birth to live babies instead of laying eggs the way other fish do. Mother octopi. Octopi don't technically get pregnant as they lay eggs instead, but their reproduction is interesting enough to add them to this list. What happens is male octopi insert packets of sperm into females with special arms called hectocotylis. The female stores the sperm until she's ready to fertilize her average of 200,000 eggs. At that point, she lays and hangs around her den or attaches to the seafloor. She then has to guard her eggs obsessively, airing them by fanning water over them. Strange, huh? Armadillo pregnancies. 9-banded armadillos have the ability to put their pregnancies on hold. Like some other types of mammals, like bears and badgers, armadillos practice delayed implantation. Amazingly, they can hold an embryo in a dormant state until conditions are fit for the pregnancy. Armadillos gestate their embryos, which are typically 4 identical quadruplets, for around 4 months. But due to the delayed implantation, babies are usually born about 8 months after mating. The birth of a chimpanzee. Did you know that chimps are humans' closest relatives? Knowing that, it's really no surprise that they give birth in a way that's similar to us. According to a 2011 study, they saw that baby chimps emerge from the birth canal facing away from their mother. But with most primates, babies are born facing the mother, so she is able to pick them up quickly. Anthropologists suspect that the human tendency of babies to be born facing away from the mother led to the need for help during childbirth, but chimpanzee childbirth suggests that isn't necessarily true. Pregnant raccoon. This little raccoon looks like it's fattening up for winter, but the truth is she's actually preggers. Raccoons generally mate in the late winter or early spring season, and their gestation period is about 63 days. They produce litters of 1 to 8 offspring. Baby raccoons, called kits, will stay with the mother in her den from 8 to 12 weeks before they start to venture out alongside the mother. The mother and her kits will stay together until they're grown and independent. Mama turtle. This amazing image is an X-ray of a female turtle before she laid her eggs. Turtles come to the shore to lay their eggs in a nest on a beach a few weeks after mating. Most species of turtles choose to nest during the warmest months of the year. The turtle lays around 50 to 200 eggs in her nest and covers it with sand to keep the eggs moist, maintain the cool temperature, and to protect from predators. Most female turtles make a habit of returning to the exact same beach to nest every year. When sloths get pregnant. Did you know that the sloth is the slowest moving mammal on the planet? Now add that she's pregnant and you can only imagine the speed. Female sloths give birth to one baby at a time and stay with the offspring for about 5 months after giving birth. The gestation period is 6 months. Due to the anatomy of the sloth, she can spend up to 90% of her life hanging upside down. Their internal organs are literally attached to their rib cage, so hanging upside down doesn't put any pressure on their lungs. Groundhog season. It's not hard to see that this groundhog is clearly pregnant. The groundhog mating season begins after their annual hibernation from early March to late April. The gestation period lasts 31 to 32 days, and they give birth to litters of 2 to 6 newborns at a time. Groundhogs are very closely related to squirrels and are often referred to as ground squirrels. They build complex homes by burrowing in the ground and creating tunnels. Apparently, they even have dedicated rooms for going to the bathroom. Newborn groundhogs stay with the mother for at least 2 months. All in the goldfish family. Goldfish are another animal species that don't technically get pregnant, but looking at this rather round one, you would definitely think that they do. This goldfish is actually just full of eggs and ready to lay and fertilize them. When water temperatures rise, female goldfish release hundreds and sometimes thousands of eggs. Like most fish, goldfish do not take care of their young. Adult goldfish will even eat the young when possible. Newly hatched goldfish are called fry, and they survive on eating brine shrimp and daphnia. Silly rabbit. Rabbits seem to live up to their reputation of mating quite fervently and reproducing frequently, with a shockingly short gestation period of only 30 days. Rabbits can give birth to a litter of 4 to 12 kits at a time. The rabbit breeding season is about 9 months of the year, and female rabbits are able to get pregnant almost immediately after giving birth. So theoretically, rabbits can give birth to 100 babies per season and over 1,000 babies in a lifetime. A frog full of eggs. This cute little thing isn't a plastic toy, it's actually a genetically modified transparent frog. Frogs can't technically get pregnant, laying eggs instead, and this frog is definitely ready to lay her eggs for fertilization. This is the world's first transparent 4-legged animal. Pretty neat, huh? This frog was successfully genetically modified back in 2007 for scientific purposes. Since she's transparent, scientists are able to study how its organs develop and how cancer develops without having to dissect. Reproductive rat. The average lifespan of a brown rat is very short, at only 1 year, but they happen to compensate for that short life with a startlingly massive amount of reproduction. A rat's gestation period is just 21 to 23 days long. Each litter can have 5 to 10 baby rats. Whether you want to hear it or not, a pair of rats can produce as many as 1,250 offspring in a given year. No wonder New York City has more rats than it does humans. That's just too many rodents in one city, if you ask me. Black rhino. The black rhinoceros, or hook-lipped rhinoceros, is found in eastern and southern Africa, including Botswana, Kenya, Malawi, Mozambique, Namibia, South Africa, Swaziland, Tanzania, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. Although they're referred to as black, their colors vary from brown to gray. A baby black rhino comes into the world after his mother has lugged him around in her belly for 15 to 17 months. That's something like 2 entire baseball seasons. Can you imagine being pregnant for that long?